across all of the services, the accident rates are going up. And they're going up partly because they're not getting the training they should get. They're going up because maintenance is harder and harder to accomplish. They're going up because the airplanes are getting older and older. And what really ought to bother us is the administration has really refused to take action to do something about it.
House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mac Thornberry talking about why we're seeing so many more accidents in military aviation right now. Fox News investigation by our Pentagon producer Lucas Tomlinson says that the entire U.S. military saw a 48% increase in accidents over the last year compared to the 2 previous years. The military says that's too short of a duration to really do an effective comparison. But according to the Navy's own data, 21% of early model F-18 Hornets are capable of flying. That's 1 out of 5 are capable of flying. Super Hornets, only 50% of them are capable of flying. And right now, of the Marines' 278 F-18s, only 91 of them can fly. Let's bring back the panel now. Charles?
Well, look, this is, I think, beyond the danger it poses to our airmen, our soldiers, our Marines, and the fact that we are really not treating them well by not equipping them. There's the larger issue of this is a sign of decay and decadence for a great power. We are projecting our power around the world, or we had since the Second World War. And now we are allowing the decay of the instruments to carry it out. Look, where's the next crisis going to be? It will likely be in the Pacific Rim. We're going to need the Navy and naval aviation. It'll be probably in the Middle East, Persian Gulf, we don't know where. But these, if we're going to act, we're going to have the means. I think what's going to happen, no matter who wins the election, there's going to have to be some renewal of our position in terms of appropriations. We cannot continue to have this sequester artificially holding back our spending on our military, which is shrinking at a time when the threats are growing. I think it has a lot to do with Obama and his withdrawal from the world. The withdrawal is going to stop under either Trump or under Clinton. We're going to have the military, and the first order of business is going to be to rebalance our military spending.
Chuck, how much responsibility lies with the president, how much with Congress?
Well, I think to the extent this goes to the sequestration issue, I think they share responsibility. That was a shared failure to come to a budget deal back in 2011 that triggered the sequestration. Now, of course, you could argue that it was the Obama administration that thought up sequestration using the defense budget as leverage politically, and I think that's the way that goes. It's clear now that what a lot of people predicted, whether the actual causation of these accidents is what the Pentagon says or what the sources of this Fox News story say is a little unclear. But obviously there was going to be trouble with the maintenance and training budgets throughout the services under sequestration. People were projecting that, Democrats and Republicans all the way through. Now we may be starting to see it. And there's something else that's going on here. Charles made a good reference to rebalancing defense spending. One of the fastest growing items in the defense budget has nothing to do with military readiness at all. It's health care costs for the members of the military and their families and for retirees. And if you ever talk about reforming that, by the way, you get your head cut off politically in this town. But until we deal with that, until we deal with other aspects of the defense budget that are under this tough sequestration ceiling, are starting to eat up operations and readiness, these kinds of problems will come up.
Charlie, you could make the case that the services are awaiting the arrival of the F-35, the new fighter, and that they don't want to throw money into older fighters while they're awaiting that arrival. But we also heard from a Marine general in Lucas's piece who said that he doesn't have the money to buy the new F-35s.
Yeah, and I think it is part of a much larger problem, and I would put much more of the blame at the feet of the president. You know, for 8 years, he has undermined the military in psychological ways, in terms of trimming the mission and you know, giving up hard-won victories in places like Iraq, and then later deciding, okay, well, actually, we do need to retake that land. And now we're seeing it in terms of the hardware. I think it'll be 10, 15 years. Optimistically, I think it'll be 10 or 15 years of a new, you know, a new approach before, you know, we repair the damage that's been done.
Our adversaries are fully aware of this. If not from watching congressional testimony, they have their own satellite reconnaissance that they can see these idle planes.
Well, when you look at the actions of the Chinese, in the South China Sea. They are completely brazen. They have absolutely no fear about the United States. The U.S. is the only country that could in any way deter them. China's neighbors are too weak and would be foolish to challenge China. And they see the United States neglecting its military under a president who doesn't want to act anyway, so it sort of makes sense. But in the end, we're going to have to be reactive again. We're going to have to either assert ourselves or withdraw entirely from the world. And we're going to end up with what Walter Lippmann called insolvency, a country that will not will the means to achieve the ends. If the end is protecting our allies, keeping open the sea lanes, and preventing aggression abroad, we have to have a military that will do it. It doesn't have to be an aggressive one, but it simply has one that works, and we have one now that is really teetering on the edge. If this continues, the decay and the neglect of the infrastructure is that it won't work, and all of our enemies are going to know it.
And we've seen this repeated in history in the 1930s with the West's unpreparedness for the rise of Nazi Germany and what that led to. Hopefully that won't be the case